Hello again, everybody. Hope you guys are having a great day. This video is going to be called something along the line of Tablature is actually the long way around, or Tablature does not make you or turn you into a musician. What do I mean by that? Well, when I was a kid, I was about 17 or so, and when I heard Stairway, you know, like every other kid of that age, we had to learn Stairway. But Zeppelin was the biggest band in America, and just about in the world. And in around 1974, 1975, I saw this book hit the bookstore shelves, and I was like, oh man, I can learn to play all of the Zeppelin songs all the way up from one to Houses of the Holy. I thought, man, that would just be cool. Now back then, it was just as true if you wanted to learn Rush. Great album. But this was also before Tab had caught on. And actually, I don't know that it had even been born yet. But what I was going to show you was that this is what I had to look at for Stairway to Heaven. Standard notation. Chord charts to show you what chords you were playing as you played the notes. The thing is, I couldn't figure out exactly where the notes were played. I was trying to play the notes by playing the chords. So I took it to a friend down the street who also played piano. He played trumpet as well. And I said, man, will you play this for me? I just can't make it sound like Stairway to Heaven. He said, sure. Now, he had never played the song before. But he sat down at the piano, and not only did it sound exactly like Stairway to Heaven, when the vocal came in, he played it at the same time. Because the vocal line is also shown in the tablature. See that bottom line? There's a lady who's sure. So, a lady convinced me to teach her 9-year-old son guitar. And I knew that was too early an age, really. Most kids, if they haven't already had some music, have no idea how much it's going to hurt their hands and stuff to play guitar. But he wanted to learn. Well, about on his third trip, I found out that the reason he wanted to learn was he wanted to know how to play Stairway to Heaven. And he was going to have to play it on a classical guitar with a neck that wide and hands 3 fingers wide. I said, well, it's a little bit before your time. He said, well, a friend of mine down the street knows how to play it. I want to know how to play it too. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to show you how it's played. Well, first of all, of course, he asked me if I knew how it was played, and I said no. But anyway, I gave him a quick rundown on it, you know. I say, etc., etc., right? And I sent him home with a tablature that I had written out for myself. This was in the 90s. And I had also put all of the flute parts and or the recorder parts and the other parts of the vocal line in the tab. So to make a long story short, I gave him page 1 and said, just go down to here past the introduction. Learn to play the introduction, and I'll see you in a week. So I sent him home with tablature. And this is how he played Stairway to Heaven. Okay? 'Cause, you know, I was 9 years old. And I said, okay. He was absolutely correct. Those are the notes, and that is the way it looks on tablature. But unfortunately, if he had continued to learn the song by having someone show him how to play it, he never would have known, more than likely, that this was an A minor chord. Okay? He never would have known this was an F. He wouldn't have known this was a D, or G, or C. Because I've met a lot of young guitar players who all play lead but don't know a thing about chords. And that would be great as long as there was only lead guitar to worry about. Because if you go sit in with another guy and it's his band and he's going to play lead, you've got to know how to play chords. And you'll have to know that when you play this, this is A minor 7. This is G, this is D. Oh, and by the way, the books would say sus, D, S-U-S. And back then, it was common knowledge that a D sus was 4. Which, what's 4? Well, you add a 4 to your D, which is D, E, F, G. So you add a G note to your D chord. The problem is, does he know which G to add? This one or this one? The only time they told you any different was when it was a sus2 chord, which is, of course, D, and you add E. And you have to play an E along with a D chord. So what was he going to do? Play. That sounds like crap. That is an E, though. No, he wouldn't have known that all he had to do was simply lift up his middle finger on the chord. Because he never learned to make the chord, he learned to go like that. When you're learning by tab and there's no written notation above it, you have no idea of the rhythm of the song. When you see something like, or, alright, some of the books would just say trill and play a A and a C. If it was written out in tab, it might look like this, where it's this note, this note, this note, this note, this note, this note, etc. But to start a trill, you have to hammer on first. Or you have to have your finger on it and push down enough to make it turn into a trill. So, it wouldn't even say, well, this is played in shuffle time, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. He's never heard of shuffle time. So beginners start asking questions. Well, when you play rhythm over that, how many times do you stroke the strings down and then up again? And it would take hours to show someone how to play a G chord and strum it when the rhythm is written in standard notation. Because all music, as you know, is numbers. It's nothing but mathematics. And all you have to do is go to someone like Rick Beato and watch one of his lessons and see that he never talks about a chord name. It's always a 2 minor 7 flat 5 or A major 7, a 1 major 7. So, or 6 minor or 7 diminished. So, in order to become a musician, sooner or later you're going to have to learn to read music. And the other problem is, when he learned to play this note together, he didn't know that that was an A, and that was an A, and they were an octave apart. He didn't know that this was a C, this was an E. He didn't know what that is. He didn't know that that was a C. You see? He only knows that the road maps say to play those notes. But then later on, when it's time to learn, say, the minor scale, which which is how the solo's played, how are you going to explain that? It's always, okay, you put your first finger here, and then you play that note. No, it'd be a whole lot better, wouldn't it, to say you play on the first string, A to C. That's very clear without a whole lot of this string, that fret, first finger, this, that, and the other. It's A, C, E, G, C, D, G, A. You see what I mean? So when it comes time to teaching, he not only knows the blues scale, he also now knows the names of the notes themselves. And later on that becomes very important, because you're not always going to have someone around to say, how many times do you play that, and exactly how is it played in that rhythm? You won't even know the word rhythm. So the tablature is a shortcut, but it's actually the long way around when you're trying to learn to be a musician. Tablature teaches you robotics, mechanisms, but standard notation teaches you music, rhythm, chord names, notes of the names, and that's all I've really got on the subject. So we hope you guys get something out of this. I'm not really trying to lecture anybody, but it does get frustrating when you sit down with someone who all he knows is several licks, all of them in a different key, and he thinks that he's ready to play a solo, and he doesn't even know what chords he's going to be playing on top of. And in a sense, that's like, I'm going to shred. Listen to this. Melody, existing, songs, title, paper, on, story, polar, opposites, words, that, the, groove, reversing. Well, I just shredded over all of those words. I don't know what any of them meant. I didn't put them in any order. It only makes sense when it becomes a musical statement or an actual sentence. In other words, song title, ways to start a song, reversed existing songs. You see what I mean? Music is organized in notation. And I'm glad that I got the Led Zeppelin complete book when I did, because it forced me to go through and actually learn the notes to the songs and the chords to the songs. So when I got ready to try to play Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, all the chords were there. I had the recording to listen to. No one had to sit down and show me how to play Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You. The notes were in the order he plays them in the book. So, if you ever get stranded on an island and all you have is your guitar and a bunch of tabs that you've never played be you may never actually be able to make musical sense. Have a good day, guys. I'll let you go. Bye-bye now.